What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with another video. And this time we're going to focus on mint on card sales for the vintage Kenner line. I've got a few other items that are kind of outside the US Kenner cards, including some Palitoy Tri logos. There's even an interesting Canadian card that I wanted to talk more about. So I want to go ahead and dig right into some recent sales on eBay. The first one is a 31 back B Lando. It was graded AFA 75. The card was 75, blister 80, figure 85. It did have the clear view kind of label up top from AFA. It also was punched with a best products price sticker and a beautiful clear blister, but that's a really nice looking Lando there. That one sold for $365.88 plus $44.88 shipping from Norway. So again, it was coming from Norway, but that price is pretty attractive for a 75 grade clear blister Lando. And I believe that might be the debut card. I don't think there was a 31A Lando, but I could be wrong on that. But pretty nice looking Lando. Next up was another one that several of you mentioned to me, and I didn't expect it to stay on the market very long, and it did not. And that was a 31 back B Luke Skywalker Bespin Fatigues. This was the walking photo. And really nice example, unpunched, clear blister, and the subscores were 80, 80, 85, and that was a really nice example. Now, the list price on it was $14.94.66, which equates to about 2,300 Australian dollars. So this was down in Australia, plus shipping, and it did have a make it offer type of situation, but someone went ahead and paid full price on it. And I think that honestly, I mean, look, I know that's a lot of money, but to get one that nice with the alternate photo, I think that's a pretty fair price in the current environment. But, you know, we'll see. It seems like there's a few of these that have sold that kind of came down a little bit in price versus some of the recent sales prices we've seen in past videos. Here was a 31 back looking photo Leia Organa Bespin, and this one sold at auction $565 plus $10 shipping. Beautiful clear blister there. It was punched, no price sticker, but very clean. I mean, that's a very, very attractive price point for, you know, an early Leia card back. So I think that was a pretty good deal in my mind, and certainly well below some of the recent sales we've seen for graded examples that have been kind of in that $1,000 to $1,100 range in high grade. So beautiful example, and I think a very fair price in an auction. Next up was a 32 back Bossk, and this was graded UKG 80%. Let's see if we can find here's the label on that one. 32 back B, so one of the earlier Bosks. Obviously there's a 31 back, but it's very tough to find. There's not many of them out there. So this is, you know, to me, this is kind of the poor man's debut card for Bossk. The subscores were 80, 85, 85 for an overall 80 from UKG. Really nice example, and it was listed for $980 and change plus shipping from Norway. And that one did sell. This final sales price on that one was $760. That's a really good deal in my mind for a 32 back Bossk clear blister. I mean, that's well below some of the recent sales prices we've seen, even on Hakes. There was, I believe, an AFA 85 Hakes or 32 back B on Hakes that sold for over double that price. So very good deal, I think, for a UKG 80% 32 back Bossk. Here's another one, 41 back D, AFA 80. It was yellowed. It was unpunched, and let's see if we can look at the subscores here. Yellowed, straight 80s for the subscore, 41 back D. I don't think I have this one. I have a 41 back, but I think mine has the yellow background instead of the blue on the back. But that one sold for $537 on free shipping. I think that was another really fair price for a Bossk, unpunched. I mean, it was yellowed, but that's a really low price point relative to some of the other data points we've had recently. Here was another one. I thought that the final sales price was really low. This was a 75 plus collector archive services graded Yoda clear blister Canadian, and this was the Canadian 32 back B. You can't do much better than that. I mean, 75 plus is a nice kind of upper mid grade, and the subscores were 85, 75, 90. And that one sold in an auction for $481 on 50 bids. That is a steal of a price for an unpunched Canadian clear blister Yoda. I mean, I've seen these sell very regularly this year, ungraded, that have sold for well above this price point. So I think someone got a great deal on that one. 75 plus clear blister for $481 free shipping. That's a bargain right there. Here was another Yoda. This was the 32 back B. U.S. release, unpunched with a price sticker in the upper right-hand corner. That one sold for $500 plus $17 shipping. Again, clear blister, really nice example overall. Here's the back of the card. Just some slight edge wear towards the bottom. But, you know, look, these prices are down. There is no doubt about it. We're starting to see the early kind of signs of cracking for common items. And you know, again, I know Yoda's popular and you know, it can be expensive, but the 32 back B Yoda is one of the most commonly produced ESB card backs. So they are out there very plentifully. And, you know, 600-ish, 550, 600-ish kind of used to be the going rate. But this one, I think for a similarly kind of conditioned item, to get it for $500 in an auction, plus this Canadian that was graded 75 plus for $481. I mean, these are early warning signs, in my opinion, that we're starting to see some price, you know, adjustments in the market for some of the more common items. Next up, this is a really interesting one, and kind of what I alluded to at the beginning of my video. This was a 41 back Canadian Leia, and it had all of this damage on the card, as you can see here. And the seller noted in the description that this was from a Toy Fair multi-pack, and the damage to the front and back is from being glued to other cards. So again, I have no idea. I don't know anything about a multi-pack that was Canadian. But it does look that way, doesn't it? Because it goes all the way up and down the card. So it's very possible that they were all kind of glued together, you know, in kind of a weird multi-pack. But here's the back of the card as well from where the glue damage was. So it's just an interesting item. It only sold for $187.50. It was mint on card and a Canadian clear blister, but obviously all that damage to the card back kind of reflects that sales price. And again, I don't know much about the history of these Toy Fair multi-packs that apparently were up in Canada, but just an interesting item that you don't see come up very often, especially at auction, and to get it for 187 bucks, kind of a nice piece of collecting history. I think if I was a Princess Leia, you know, focus collector, that would be kind of an interesting, you know, relatively inexpensive item. I mean, if this was kind of in high grade, you can probably put $1,200 plus on that sales price. So to get one that was kind of maybe a piece of collecting history for $187.50 is a great deal. Here was an Ugnaught. This was the 41 back A survival kit offer. It was unpunched with a price sticker, but very clean card, a little bit curl to it, a little bit of damage down here in the lower right-hand corner. Looks like some kind of stain near that proof of purchase there. But this is one I do have in my collection, graded AFA 85. And pretty nice example, probably like 75 grade, I would say. And that one sold for $400. That's maybe a little higher than I expected, just given that staining and the slight card curl, but you know, still a very nice clear blister Ugnaught 41 back survival kit. Same seller had this one. This was the survival kit Lobot, unpunched clear blister, great condition overall, probably a good solid 80, and that one only sold for $200, $200 plus $17.05 shipping. I think that was a fantastic deal for a nice example of the Lobot on the 41 back A. Again, the same seller also had this 41 back A Imperial Commander, also unpunched with a price sticker, Child World. Never heard of that place. Clear blister, very, very nice condition overall. Great deals. I mean, these are all just good examples of fairly common items that sold at auction. And again, this one sold on October 1st at 11:12 a.m. I think that if I'm a seller, I'd probably try to time it for Sunday evenings, but still $164.49 plus $17 shipping for an unpunched clear blister, really solid condition Imperial Commander. That's kind of an unbeatable price point. This one surprised me maybe on the high end, just only because the seller's photos were so terrible. So he put this 45 back Star Wars display arena R5D4. It was a clear blister. It was punched, but he only showed it inside this yellowed star case. So I have no idea what kind of shape this really is in. You're kind of going on your gut that this is in good condition. Based on the photos, it does look pretty good. There's a little bit of wear around the hang tab, as you can see there on the back of the card. But, I mean, these photos are just awful, so you have no idea what you're really getting. And I think $622.15 was the final sales price, free shipping. Again, you're taking a little bit of a risk that this is in that kind of high-grade quality. It does look that way at first blush, but you know, I think if I'm bidding on this, I would have probably reached out to the seller and said, hey, I'd like to see some photos outside of the star case. And I think that, this seller probably did himself a disservice on the final sales price, because if this was kind of in that 80 to 80 plus grade condition, you probably could have gotten even a little bit higher than 622. But, again, I think that's a pretty good price point if it's the condition I think it's in, but it's a roll of the dice without better photos. Same seller also had this free Neon Numb 48 back Return of the Jedi transition card, Tusken Raider. And so obviously only the ESB and the first 21 Star Wars figures were on this Return of the Jedi card back with the free Neon Numb offer. None of the Return of the Jedi characters appeared on this card back. And again, the photos were not great. It did have a little bit of wear around the hang tab. As you can see, there's some spider veining. That one sold for $255 free shipping. I thought that was a pretty good deal given the apparent condition of the item. Probably 75 kind of grade condition. Clear blister though, so $255 is a good deal on that one. Here's a few others. A 65 back A Zuckuss. It looked to be slightly yellowed based on the photos. Back of the card looked pretty good. A little bit of wear around the hang tab though. You can see that there. And the blister, again, is very common with these 65 backs. They do start to yellow, but this one's not nearly as bad as some examples. I had one little ding on the blister as well. So probably either a low grade yellowed 80 or a very high 75 plus type condition. This one sold for $225 plus $10 shipping. I thought that was a pretty fair deal. Same seller also had this one, the 65 back A R2D2, unpunched with very slight yellowing to the blister, as you can see there, but really great condition overall. And that one sold for $183.50. I thought that was a great deal as well, plus $10 shipping. This one surprised me again on the upper end of the scale. This one is the 77 back Power Droid. It was yellowed. I have this exact same card graded CAS 85, and it's very similar to that. It just has some yellowing to the blister. It did look pretty solid. This time the same seller did kind of remove it from the star case. It looked really clean though, probably easily an 80 grade condition based on the limited photos that he included. But $420 seems a little high to me. I picked up mine, admittedly, about a year and a half ago for $190 shipped for mine, and it's exact same card back, and mine graded straight 85s with collector archive services. So $420 seems a little high to me, but the Power Droid, a lot of the droids, that there are, focus collectors that love these droids, and it certainly was a nice one. Now we're going to get into some big boy items. This is a 77 back Desert Scene Boba Fett. This one had the coin offer, as you can see, a lot of wear, a lot of residue on the front of the card back, some wear around the hang tab as well, but it's nice to see it with that coin offer. The coin offer was for the Boba Fett Power of the Force coin, and that blister was not that bad. It was really, really nice condition, hardly yellowed at all. Just some wear to the card back, as you can see there, but pretty great condition overall. That one sold for $2,000 free shipping. I mean, I guess that's a fair deal. I don't know. It seems like it's really hard to gauge what mint on card Boba Fett's go for. I see $3,500 and then I see $2,000, so you just never know. Here was another one. This is the same card back, but without the coin offer. But this card back was in really rough shape, as you can see. Big creases all the way up and down the card back. Heavy tearing even on the right-hand side of the card. The blister also was a little bit more yellowed. Here's the back of the card. This was the Taiwan Boba Fett, but very heavy creases on the card, probably like a 50 grade at best. That one was listed for $1,950 plus $20 shipping, and the final sales price on that one, I looked it up, was $1,500. So $1,500 for this one versus $2,000 for this one. Apples and oranges. I don't know. This one seems to be a little bit better condition overall, although the sticker residue was pretty pronounced on that card back, and the blister was in better shape though. It looked like there was a little bit of peeling, as you can see right here on the left hand side of the blister. So again, I'm assuming that these are true mint on cards and there's been no recarding or anything like that. But $1,500 to $2,000, that even those two data points alone, despite the condition issues, those are well down from the price highs from earlier this year for mint on card Boba Fett's on the Return of the Jedi card back. Here was a Canadian Luke Skywalker X-Wing pilot. It was yellowed. It was unpunched. Pretty great shape overall. Miracle Mart was the price sticker on that one, but you can see it's very heavily yellowed, which does happen. Here's the back of the card back with the La Guerre des Étoiles. Again, unpunched. Really nice card back though. That one sold for $370 US or $503 Canadian, 35 bids plus $25 shipping. Here was an AFA 85 Power of the Force Ben Kenobi, obviously very yellowed, but unpunched, and about as good as you're going to find for these Power of the Force card backs. But beautiful 92 back. Here are the sub scores: 80, 85, 85 yellowed, 85 overall for this 92 back Power of the Force Ben Kenobi. That one sold for big money, 1025, 37 bids. Again, that's even down a little bit. We did document one, if memory serves, a few months back that was an AFA 80 that sold for $1,100. So this one's an AFA 85 that sold for $1025 plus shipping. So I think this one was obviously the better deal, and maybe, again, a sign that the prices are starting to come back down a little bit. Here was an AFA 75 Palatoy Tri-Logo Chewbacca. This has got the alternate Rockstar Chewbacca card image, and the sub-scores were 75, 70, 85. The 70 grade for the blister score seems really harsh to me. That seems really, really harsh. That seems more at a minimum like a 75. It's got pretty good kind of structure to the blister, which is common, a common problem with those fragile blisters. It was punched. Back of the card looked pretty nice. Let's see if we can find a full back. Here's the back of the card. Great shape overall, but 70 for that blister score seems pretty harsh. That seems pretty harsh. I mean, look, it has a little bit of dinging here and there, but it also does look like the blister has yellowed since grading. So that's something to keep in mind. Maybe it's just my imagination, but it does look slightly yellowed. But 75 grade overall for that Chewbacca. And the final sales price was $511 plus $15 shipping. And I've seen them ungraded sell here recently on Facebook for kind of like $400 to $450. So I think $511 for an AFA 75 was a pretty good bargain. Finally, I had this Ewoks Wicket W Warwick. It was unpunched with a clear blister. Tough to find that one with a clear blister, but really nice example. And kind of the cartoony style TV series Wicket. But this one always commands big money. High grade, I've seen 800 to 850 here recently. This one was ungraded and it sold for $511. So pretty nice example, though. Here's the back of the card back. This is the made in Mexico, so that's probably why it's clear blister. And but a beautiful card. And I don't collect these Ewoks TV series Wickets or any of the Ewoks line, but this one was a really nice example, and the price reflected that, $511 plus $10 shipping. So anyway, just some more data points. Who knows if the market's starting to slow a little bit? It does feel that way to me. Obviously Chris shared his thoughts on the live stream here this past Friday, but it does seem like there's some chinks or some cracks in the armor, so to speak, for the vintage Star Wars market, that we're starting to see maybe some price decline. And that's kind of what I expected. I mean, I talked about that many months ago, where I expected this fall, September, October, November, to start seeing more price problems, price adjustments, so to speak, for these vintage collectibles as people kind of tighten up their wallets a little bit. So anyway, that's all I really had for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back soon.